It's those little things that keep me finding my way back to the Orange County line.
Welcome to the Y with Dr. T, and I am here with my super good friend, Davey Henderson, and we're going to talk all things community. So, Davey, thank you for being
Thank you for
here.
having me.
So, I guess we want to talk about why you're on. We'll have to go back to kind of the beginning, and I think that your tie to me and this podcast is really through the Terrells. Tell me how you know us.
So I grew up in small town Orleans. My dad was a contractor, and Tim and all the Terrells, they were contractors too and did cabinet business. And just to be honest with you, Kim and Tara were like second parents to me, you know. If I got in trouble and I was around them, I'd expect them to reach out and grab me by the head and straighten me up. And they've just always been good people to me. And, went to school with Chris and his whole family and know all of them. Just really good people, good friends, you know. Can you call them in the middle of the night and they'll help you out?
Yeah, I think that's what I know the most is, always having everybody's a phone call away.
Yeah, if you don't believe that, then you don't know me, you know. So I will call you just to make sure you're all right and, try never to be mean about it, you know what I mean?
I know.
Sometimes the jokes turns into, it's the wrong person, as you know that, so.
I know.
Hey, Brandy, I think you're speeding. No, I think it's my son. Oh, man.
Well, yeah, so since you brought that up, let's just jump right on into that story. And then we can backtrack on other stories. But so I'm going to tell the story and then you tell your pieces of it. So I was at home. I don't know what day it was one day, and I get a call from you. And generally when you call me, I answer.
Yes.
So, and I think you said, "Are you in that black car?" And I said, "No, I'm at my house." And you said, "Well, I thought that was you, but that black car's kind of speeding. It came out of your driveway." And you said, "Now I'm in my old Corvette."
Yep.
And I can't catch up with that car. Well, that car was our son, who was 17 at the time.
Very good young man, Christian. Yep, and I knew at that minute I was like, oh, this is so dumb. I never even should have called. I should have just waited and picked on him because he's a good kid. You remember the first time I ever really met him?
I don't.
You guys were at the ISI stop sign. I turned on my lights on. I thought, hey, there's Chris and Brandy. Turn on my lights on and pull up.
We were on the side by side.
Yes. It's poor old Christian. I thought that kid is never going to speak to me again.
Well, yes, you did. You, and of course, we knew all along, but he was driving, and you turned your lights on and pulled him over, and it was him. It was hilarious.
I just pulled up beside you, and I was like,
yeah.
Hey, what's going on?
And yes. So going back to the speeding. So I said, "Well, no, but that's Christian." And I said, "Well, hold on a minute and let me see." So I looked at Life 360. And he, sure enough, was speeding. He was going 30, or he's going 51 in a 30.
A little fast on County Road.
Little fast on County Road. So I called him. I said, "Bub, are you speeding?" "What?" I said, "I know you are." And I said, "Do you see a red car in your rear view?" He goes, "Yeah, way back there." And I said, "Well, that's Davey. And you're going too fast. Slow it down."
Yeah. Yeah, it's embarrassing. I was like, he's such a good kid, good family, you know. Because some parents nowadays, you call them, they'd be mad at me.
Oh, no.
You know, and that was not my point at all to get him out of trouble. It was more to tease you.
Yeah.
Or Chris. And poor Christian got in the middle of it again. Daggone.
But you know what? We have had several conversations since then, though, baby. And here is what I think is important is those that is what absolutely matters, because we have been able to turn that small thing into a lot of smaller and even larger conversations about the importance of people caring about you, the importance of people watching out after you, the importance of people, not wanting you to get hurt, and really parenting a community. Because you're exactly right. Like when you called me, I thought, that kid better not be speeding, right? And it wasn't how could you, call me and rattle my kid. It was I want you to do that,
Right.
because what you probably did was help at least where he's aware that people pay attention. And we very well we probably avoided what could have been a really bad problem. And it was a lesson about people who want to take care of you, who don't have to.
Yeah. And, that's what I tried to always be as a trooper since 93. And, when you're young policeman, you're a little bit cocky and gung-ho.
Oh, we got a story for that, too.
I know. And, as you get older, you just think, man, seen too much, seen people get hurt. And how do you got to, when you're a policeman, you got to not be mean, not be arrogant. You got to care what you're doing. And sometimes that's, step out, and you don't, if you arrest people, that's not always the answer. Sometimes a lesson learned is more valuable than have to pay money and get in trouble where you're kind of mad about it for the rest of your life. I've arrested, in the last 35 years, I've arrested people for homicides and severe batteries and stuff, and they're not, them and their family, they're not usually mad. It's the people who you ride a speeding ticket for going 70 to 85. They hate you for the rest of my life. That is just totally different. It's kind of hard to understand sometimes, but, I've done that with 1,000 people. I'll call them mom or dad, or just have a talk with them at a ball game. Sometimes it goes good, sometimes it goes bad. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the kid, I've talked to several kids at the ball games. I've raised 2 children in Orleans, and really I feel like I've raised half of Orleans here lately. As they're growing older and getting big, they're like, yeah, I was at your house. I'm like, oh God, what was I doing, And, sometimes the kids didn't take it very well, and then they get older and I'm like, I really appreciate you did that. It scared me and irritated me, but, I'm 28 years old and got a child, and I hope you do the same thing with them. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But, Orange County's got so many good people.
Yeah.
We overlook that, especially if you're on social media all the time. All you see is the negative. You don't see all the great things people are doing. Yeah. And that's the reason I became the sheriff, and why I want to continue being sheriff is people don't see the behind things we're doing every day. Especially me, you, Priscilla. There's so many people doing so many great things here.
Yeah. And right here in Orange County is pretty amazing. Well, and every county has that. Yeah. But we really do try to put a spotlight on it.
Yeah. And I knew we all did that as a trooper, but, I had other duties. I had 7 counties. I was the public information officer. And all I really dealt with was the crime. And, and I was all over. And then I became sheriff, and I came here, and, I knew you since you were young, and man, we do a lot of stuff here. A lot of good things. A lot of time, a lot of time on the phone, a lot of time playing.
Yeah. And, one of the things I've noticed too is and I'm speaking from my profession with social work and community mental health, and in that treatment model, people don't really come and see you when things are going well. So you spend 30 years of your adulthood, which is also your professional life, really looking at, listening to, absorbing some quite horrific situations that people are in, and it can, if we're not careful, I think, at least speaking for myself, it can make you think the world is like that totally
every day. Yeah.
And it's not. It's really not. It's just that the profession that I've chose, which I assume is similar to being in law enforcement, is you don't really interact with people as often as you should unless it's something negative. And then that stuff starts to compound every day. And then it is easy to kind of get this jaded sense of the world, like it's, going to hell in a handbasket. And it's not true.
No.
But it's easy to think that way because that's all the information that we're dealing with. And so again, stories like our stories like, what we're trying to do here is to remind people that that's not really it. There is so much more that's so good about communities, any community, but we're clearly highlighting our community.
I know we're going to tell funny stories, but you really affected my life around January 7th, right after Zach Andrew got shot. First off, I needed to talk to somebody, and I knew you were my person, And second, I said, I want to meet at the jail so that my men could see me talking to you. Because, as males in the United States, we're taught to stand up, be tough, don't cry. And it just wasn't time for that. I needed to cry, and I needed them to see that, here's an old man that talked to a friend, and you came in, you comforted me, you taught me some stuff, and it really helped. And I appreciate it. You wouldn't take any money either. That really made me mad. Not mad. I mean, just, you just did such a good thing that day that it was worth paying you whatever you needed, because I needed that. And my guys need to see that, we can talk. And 'cause that was terrible. It was probably the worst thing that's happened since my parents and my brother dying, But yeah, I really appreciate that.
And there has been times, unfortunately, over the course of living here and being in community mental health that, I've been called in on those, whether they're officer or person related, and they're never easy.
No.
They're never easy.
Yeah. No, I'm dealt with a lot of that, and, this is no fun. But let's tell how I know you.
Okay. I can't believe you don't remember.
That was 30 years ago.
Well, I remember it, so I don't remember anything. So I will tell you how I know you, Davey. So it was the summer of 1995. The very first beanstalk that Beanie Shelton put on, and I think it's like his backwood or his backfield, is basically his backyard.
Yeah.
And I don't know as I've ever told this story in its entirety, but that was, the big deal.
Yeah.
I think he had 3 days, and I don't know how many bands. In his backyard, it was quite incredible. And they were beanstalk shirts. It was the real deal.
Yeah, a lot of people.
In 1995. Okay.
And see, I didn't even live here. I lived in Davies County at the time.
But you were state trooper.
Yep. So they sent me over here, and
yeah. So we went to, I'm sure it was probably Friday or the Saturday night one, whatever. And we went to Beanstalk, and we were leaving, and I was driving, and the Desk Plant Road.
Yeah.
Okay. The Desk Plant Road where, goes right out to the highway.
Yeah. Martin Street.
Yeah, yeah. So I was driving, and the Red and Blues come on. I was in Chris's truck.
No recollection at all.
Yeah. Chris said, well, we're getting pulled over. I said, okay. I had been pulled over one other time when I was 16 because I had a headlight out. But that was it. So I was just 18 in 1995.
I was only 24.
Yeah, I could tell, and you were fresh out of you were what, couple years, I think.
A year and a half.
Yeah, out of academy.
Yeah.
And you pulled us over.
Still no recollection.
And you did ask me if I'd been drinking, and I said yes. one drink. Thank God that was the truth. Now, Chris, on the other hand, and you did all the breathalyzer stuff and all of that. And I can't remember what the breathalyzer was, but it was way under the legal limit.
Yeah.
But I was 18.
So I wrote you a ticket.
We got minor consumption.
Both of you?
Both of us.
Oh, I didn't know I wrote Chris a ticket.
Oh yeah. So I had never been in trouble. Now him, on the other hand, that's his stories to tell. I had never, ever had I been in trouble, nor got a ticket. So anyway, we went to court because we were summoned to court, for minor consumption. And they told us that, well, they have this pretrial diversion. I had no idea what any of this was. But it was like $250 or something, which is today's standard is nothing.
Yeah. There's a lot of money in it.
It was a lot of money. It was a lot of money then, but we'd never really been in any serious trouble. So we were able to do the pretrial diversion. And I remember that I don't even think we even made it into the judge. I think the attorneys kind of deal with that stuff, but they said, listen, you cannot get into any trouble. I think it was a year.
Yeah.
It was a year. Or you lose your money and then you get a minor consumption conviction.
Yeah.
That was probably, I was the best kid that year. I mean, I think I probably never even breathed wrong that year. But we had to make payments on the $250.
Yeah.
Because nobody had $250, But I remember that. But it was a really good lesson. It was a really good lesson.
Now I'm 55 and I look back at that and I'm like, probably should just call Tim.
Probably. That'd have probably been worse, but
yeah, I know. But I mean, that'd been a better or as good a lesson,
Yeah.
'Cause I don't know your mom and dad. I know if I'd called Tim and Karen, that's your husband's mom and dad, and might have been one of those things where I knocked on the door, dumped you out, and ran. Because I wouldn't want to be part of that, out there in Terrell land.
Terrellville.
Yeah, Terrell.
Terrellville. Come on now. Yeah. Yeah. And, I think that's a true, story, just how small, and here we are talking about it now.
Yeah, it embarrasses me that happened. I don't know why. I just do my job,
Well, yeah.
That's probably a smart aleck, but didn't mean to be.
I don't think you're a smart aleck, but you were definitely fresh out of the academy.
Right by the book, and yeah.
Yeah.
I was half the man.
You had the high and tight hair going, you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're on video camera then.
Really?
Yes.
I wonder if you can find it.
I don't know. I'd have to go back.
I didn't realize they had video cameras back in 1995 on cruisers and stuff.
My first year, I was one of the high DUI guys in the district, and I got one of the first video cameras.
Oh, that would be neat.
Yeah, it's VHS.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out.
It would be funny, though.
I think we should try to find that.
Yeah, because I know they're available. December 6th of 96, I was patrolling US 50 between Lagodi and Shoals, and I turned around on a car. I don't even know if you know this. And it was going at 111, and I got hit. As I turned around, his brother hit me in the rear end. My car was on site at the fairgrounds there in Martin County. I hit my head on the gun rack, so I don't remember any of it. But my mother got a call. The lady who called in, back then there was no cell phones, said, you have a dead state trooper on the side of the road. Yeah. You didn't know all this?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So, like I said, I don't remember any of it. All I remember is I woke up in an ambulance, had dual IVs, which I knew enough then that that's not good.
Yeah.
Whitley, my daughter, was just a year old, and talk about small town community. It rolls into that. So I'm like waking up going, what happened? And my first thought was, did I just hurt somebody? Because the job you do is dangerous, and did I turn from somebody? Was I fighting? What was going on? Because I had no memory. I just knew my head hurt terrible. Well, Heather and Whitley had went to see the 101 Dalmatians, and the Jasper State Police Lieutenant lived in Odin at the time. So Heather pulls in, and Darvin and June, they treated us like family, you know. They'd love to see the kids, and so Heather pulls in, and she's like, "Hey, Darvin." He's like, "Hey, Heather, I need to talk to you a minute." She's like, "Okay, come on in." He's going in to help her put Willie up, and he's like, Dave's been involved in an accident, and he's on the way to Jasper. Not quite sure how it's going to go tonight. And she's like, "Oh, my God." Because we just had a couple troopers ran over and killed Andy Winsonreed upon up around Versailles. And so Heather says, she got a car Darvin, and he's all time, Jasper 3041. Can you give me an update on Davey? And we just don't know anything yet. But they'd called mom and dad and told them, it's bad. You need to get to Jasper Hospital. So they had a trooper escort them down, and because dad wasn't going to let him, he wasn't going to ride. He wanted to be, just in case something happened. And I'll never forget, I get to the hospital, and they're like, "No, your neck's not broke. The whole thing, you've got a tennis ball size knot on the back of your head." Yeah. And I'm sitting there, and here comes 1,000 troopers, and then here comes my mom and Heather. My mom's mad as a snake, and if you knew my mom, "Who hit you? What's going to go on here?" And I had to stay a couple nights in the hospital, but I was lucky I got to go home.
That's a miracle.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't remember that. But I was that's, a small town thing. Darvin pulls in. Heather doesn't think anything about it, It's 9 o'clock on a Friday night while there's a lieutenant in the front drive. Well, he'd just stop and see the kids or bring a pie or something, But I was glad of that. Darvin Holder was a great man. Yeah, he passed away a couple years ago. But I've got, over my time, 1,000 stories like that, Hey, we need help on the side of the road. And I'm going to call Chris, or I'm going to call Tim, or my dad, and they're not policemen. But they come right out. It's amazing what people don't see every day about how being a policeman, how being in Orange County is really like, There was an incident at schools years ago where a little kid couldn't pay for the lunch. And this is a community thing. And it just wasn't handled really great, nothing terrible, but the little kid was embarrassed, and her mom and dad were embarrassed. Next thing you know, you got my dad, Frank Hall, some other business owners in New Orleans. I think school ended up having $500 for lunches. Where else is that going to happen?
Wow.
And the school's like, hey, we got this, but no. They wouldn't have it, there's not going to be a little kid not eating New Orleans. And I still see that today, you go to a gas station and a family or a little kid and can't pay for the fuel or whatever. Somebody behind them, I got you. And that doesn't happen in big cities. I've been there. It doesn't happen like that. Then you're stranded on the road or you're homeless. So, yeah, there's so many good people in Orange County. And we tend to focus on the negative so bad nowadays.
Well, I think that sometimes social media doesn't help, but I think that's why it's most important then to get these good, care about your people stories out, because that's really all we have.
Yeah.
That's all we have is each other. And I think it's kind of like social media is often like what we were talking about earlier, how if all you see is the negative, then that stuff that's what ingrains in you. That's what you learn to see. It's kind of like, when I bought my white truck out there, I saw 100 of them. I'm like, wait a minute, but it's the same thing. It's when we focus on that one thing, then that's what we see. Well, okay, but it works both ways, right? So why don't we focus on the things that bring us together, the things that are good, the things that are, make us who we are in a good way. I mean, to me, I feel like that's much better time spent.
Well, I know what kind of car you drive. If you're here, there, I know where you live. Something goes on, it just makes it a little different. Like when you sold your red and white truck to Priscilla, I thought it was you one day, and I was going to just stop you for the heck of it. And I'm like, that's not Brandy. That's a blonde-headed woman.
Wait a minute, what?
Didn't you sell your truck to Priscilla?
No.
The red and white truck?
Mm-mm.
I thought she got off you guys.
No.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't stop it then.
Yeah, no. No. They had that when they moved here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah, no.
Walk up there thinking it's you, be like, what's that, Brandy? And I'm like, who are you?
Nope, nope. That is not. No, that red and white truck. My goodness, I don't even know where that thing went.
Yeah. Well, heck for I always thought it was yours for some reason.
No,
But that's just go back to the way we are here.
I know. Well, and another story. Remember when you called me and said my barn was on fire?
Yep.
And I mean, of course, my mother-in-law, she was making her rounds and she noticed it.
Yep.
Noticed that it was on fire and it was just starting, and
That's where I learned Chris's real name is Pat. That's not Chris.
oh,
There's a beautiful little redhead there who set me straight right off the bat.
really?
Yeah. You don't remember that, do you?
I don't know that. No.
Yeah.
No.
Your little granddaughter was
Yeah,
there.
I didn't know that
I'm
she
like-
set you straight.
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on, Chris? What can I do to help? And he's putting out the fire. She's like, his name is Pat. I'm like, okay. Does that surprise you?
No.
Yeah.
No, because at the Habitat dinner last week, when Chris had to give that little speech thing, and he was really honked off that we kept that little award from him, but we did. Well, the Tom Motzinger had said that Chris is awful quiet. Well, when he got back to the seat and Chesney, she says, that man said that you were quiet and you are not. It's like, okay.
She is the cutest, funniest little thing. But yeah. And we started talking about the pigs and the chickens. And yeah, it was a great. And then Coy, I picked on him since he's been a little buddy. They set it right in front of us at the ball games, because you have your own spot at the ball game.
Oh, well, yeah, you do.
You have assigned seats.
You do have
that are really
assigned
on
seats
spot.
at ball games.
Yeah.
Yes,
Community,
I know.
And that's where Brandy's going to sit. And you're going to sit on the southwest side of the gym.
And Jim Wells sits above, and Chesney will draw him pictures and notes, and then we'll march them on up to Jim and Pack, give them their notes, and you just know.
Yeah, and if like me, I've known Jim Wells and Richard Packer my whole life, and two of the best men you ever meet. Do a lot behind the scenes,
That nobody knows about.
and they don't want it. They're, Jim Wells, I could call him right now, and he wouldn't be a gripe of me. I'm on his way. Packard same way, but we're just daggone lucky to live here. I hate when the kids, I'm moving as soon as I can. Well, okay.
Okay, but I'm hoping you'll be
Yeah,
back.
Had one of the Springer kids go to college, and I had a key to her car because she kept logging in there. I got tired to go to Bloomington with my lockout kit. Yeah. She went to IU, and instead of calling somebody up there, she'd call me in the middle of the daggone night. And I'm like, all right, Allison. So finally, I got a key to the car so I didn't have to keep breaking in her car. It was, that's the fun stuff, though. Those are calls you like to get. Not the ones where you're going to tell somebody in the middle of the night that their loved ones passed away or was drunk driving.
Which does happen.
All the time. All the time.
Does.
And if you don't think that affects the people telling you, we know it affects the family Terrell, but that's not easy to walk away from. And that's why people like you are, I have a great respect for the things you do, because nobody knows it. Nobody sees it.
Yeah.
We're all scared to death, tell you that, hey, I have days where I'm crazy. Hey, I have days where I'm going to cry all day.
Yeah.
And who do we call? Brandy Terrell. Dr. Terrell.
But at the same time, that's all true. But it's also a highlight, because how amazing is that to be able to just do that thing right there, and to tell you that, I want to tell you about my shoes, because I told you a story about the shoes. So these shoes that I have, you see them. Most people know them as the Forrest Gump shoes, but they're not. But at the last community event, you called out my shoes.
Yeah.
Because it was the first pair of leather shoes
That's right.
you had.
I'm so old that we either wore Red Wings or Chuck Taylors.
Yeah.
And I was probably in third grade, and Mom and Dad got them. They were like $100 back then. I wore those till the soles fell off of them.
Well, my mom, I did not buy these because of Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump made them cool again, but my mom had a pair of these.
So can we start calling you Jenny?
No, Jenny was not very good to Forrest. No, you cannot. But my mom wore these shoes, and she was an EMT for Washington County Hospital at the time, way back in the day. I was a kid. And no, I'm telling you this wrong story. But she wore these shoes all the time. And I wanted to, as soon as I saw them come back, I instantly knew those were what my mom wore years and years ago. But with my mom and the EMT story, she also wore cowboy boots. So everybody wore cowboy boots all the time.
Yep.
And my mom was on a run, and I remember her coming home. You don't realize as a kid, what happens when you're in these types of this field, but there's a car wreck, and a young guy was driving. I don't know the details, but he was wrapped up in the motor, and he had the same cowboy boots on as my mom did. And that's the stuff that you don't know about, that people don't know about, that people carry.
Yeah.
In this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think she quit wearing cowboy boots after that, and these Forrest Gump shoes was her main shoe. But it's those memories, it's those little bits and pieces that you pick up and assign meaning, and that's what we do anyway. But in small rural communities, those are the things that matter.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's just like my mom had dementia, and she'd have lived in Louisville or Indianapolis or somewhere nobody'd known, but everybody in town knew. And we had incidents where stuff happened. It wasn't always just EMT and fire. It'd be the Terrells, or Jim and Packard, or people would just show up to help. And to me, that meant more than anything. She got had a spell one day and caught the house on fire. I get there, she's like, I need my cigarettes. Get in there. I'm like, Mom, there's 80-foot flames coming out, I look over and there's Steve Johnson and other guys, just stare lend a hand and do whatever. But yeah, everybody just knew that was, and we still do the same thing. It's like, your barn's on fire, so I call you. Hey, get your butt home, man.
Your barn's on fire. Yeah.
That poor pig's going to roast.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. But, and as we have, we've raised all of our kids, and you have been involved in all of our kids in one way or another.
Yeah. And I hope in a positive way.
Yeah.
Like I said, Whitland, Drew are getting older now. She's 30, almost 31. Drew's 26. And, as they were children, well, our house was always somewhere they could go, and you didn't really have to worry about them. The most dumbest thing we would do was light a bonfire and be stupid. But now those kids are getting older, having children. I went to Ralph Eichard's funeral, and loved Ralph to death, good to me. And his kids, Jason graduated with me, and Liz is the year ahead. And it's kind of like going to a family reunion, because there's all the kids, grandkids, and then great grandkids now. And it's just the bond you make and the people you deal with. That's why, like, with all this political stuff going on everywhere, nationwide, countywide, I just wonder if those people know that after May 5th, life's going to go on, and some of the things you can't take back.
No, and you're still neighbors.
Yeah, and
you're still community people together.
And it's some of these guys are community leaders, it's men and women, are making comments that they're not going to take back. They're just not, and I'm not willing to do that.
I think it's easy. I think it's easy for people. We're flawed as humans. We're flawed, but it's easy to pick apart. It's easy to focus on what's wrong as opposed to doing something about it, as opposed to having a little bit of grace. And, and sometimes, we do say things we shouldn't, and we
absolutely.
but the thing is okay then, but how can we do better? How can we do better? Because we are in this together.
Yes.
Even after political cycles, even after differing of opinions.
And I'm conservative, and I hesitate to say, but I grew up Democrat. Did you know that?
Well, yeah, I knew that.
I mean, my mom and dad were huge Democrats.
I know.
And then as I got older, my views were a little different on things, and my dad never would have voted Republican, and I caught a lot of grief when I first ran because believe it or not, I had people stop me like, "Your granddad would be ashamed of you." I'm like, "No, he wouldn't. He'd be the first guy down there, hey, this is great, and he'd have voted Republican because he'd have voted for the man, not for the party." Which is, I'll never pull a ticket just based on an R and a D. To me, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's your opinions and what you're going to do for my people. You know what I mean?
It should be.
Yeah, it absolutely should be. If you don't like what I'm doing, vote me out. If you're happy with what I'm doing and you're, you want to come talk to me, I'll change, to an extent.
Yeah.
And try to do better. And, we just, we're in a political time where people don't want to do that. They want to be on, just hammering everybody. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, and I think it makes it easy nowadays because there is a podium that is public and there's no accountability.
Yeah.
With the keyboard warriors and there's not. And I think it's easy for people to forget there's humans. There's humans on the other side of that.
Yeah, can you imagine, like, just with some of the stuff going on now? I've been, I go to all the ball games that I can. I just like it, and I like being around people. It gives me energy.
Mm-hmm.
If me and you got to on the internet and it's public and we start putting bad stuff out at each other, and I go to a ball game and you're having some kind of episode or something's happening, is that going to affect how I do my job or how we talk? I'm not going to have that.
Yeah.
If I have a true disagreement with you, I'm going to come find you. I'm not going to get on the internet, tell you how bad you are, how stupid you are.
Or tell the neighbor.
Yes.
That's another one. Or go tell whoever because you have some beef, so you sabotage everything else. I mean, that's a problem. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But
I see it on the internet now, and it's not just here, it's everywhere, I don't like this person because of that, and da-da-da-da-da-da, and I'm like, oh my Lord. Do some research and educate yourself. Yeah. If you're on Facebook, that's not Wikipedia. It's not the truth.
Well, Wikipedia is
right. It's fault too.
Questionable too, but the deal. But I think what you're exactly right is relationships matter. At the end of all this stuff, we're still living here together, and it's hard enough to do all the things that you need to do. You're supposed to do, raise kids. It's hard enough. We really need to try to do our best to stick together and be good neighbors.
Yeah. Do you know Elizabeth Music?
Mm-hmm.
You know how quiet she is.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked on her. This is another, just example of how we're supposed to be. Do you remember she had a wreck at school? I
do not know. I don't know.
She was there at school and a kid was in his dad's truck or company truck anyway. Did a burnout there coming out of school and hurt her. So Drew calls me. He's like, "Dad, you need to get up here. Her mom and dad are an hour out and this, that." And like I said, Elizabeth, if you know her, she just doesn't talk and she, kind of shy. So I get up there and she's like, "Yeah, I'm glad you're here." I said, "Well, I'm going to ride an ambulance with you." She's like, "What?" I said, "Somebody's got to go. You got to have family and we've got to make some decisions today." And, she still today, I think, thinks I'm crazy, but I'm just going to leave my car and heck, it's at Orleans High School. What's going to go on with it, And I told the Post, I said, I'll be out riding ambulance with her, but ended up her mama or somebody came and she wouldn't let me ride with her. Plus I was telling her dumb jokes, so I was so daggone nervous that she was hurt. But, that's just, I would want you to do it on my kid.
Yeah. I think that brings us back to the beginning of this episode is, to me, I think that's what makes small town living the best is I do want you to call me when my kid's speeding, or I do want you to call me when something's going on, because that's what we're supposed to do. Those are those are the relationship building moments, but they're the teaching moments too, right? And it also is important for these rural communities for kids to see that it is what you make it. It's not perfect, but you can find your people here. You can do all the things you need to do, and you can keep our small communities alive. So
it's important to me for a policeman or somebody's real respecting being Chris, who's kind of scary. I love Chris to death, but he's always so quiet and stuff, and I'm just not.
Well, sister says he's not quiet.
Yeah, I know, and she's the boss.
I know.
But Drew, when he's getting my speed everywhere, he always had hot rod. So I got a call from a trooper one night. He's like, "Hey, Davey, you're speeding again." I'm like, "Write him a ticket." Well, no, I'd much rather have this conversation with you on the phone than stand in front of a casket.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reality of life. He wasn't calling me to be yelling or nothing. He's calling me to try to tell him, calm my kid down.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. He's still embarrassed this day that he called me. And, because at that time I'd been on like 25 years, he'd been on a minute. And Drew got home, met him at the door, and enough was enough.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Who called you?" None of your damn business. Where's the keys to your car?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to drive the old pickup for the next 2 weeks. And he slowed down after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of our kids, I think it was Gracie, was pulled over. She was speeding through a school zone. Now, it wasn't during school, but it was at night, but it was Orleans Elementary. And the car was registered to me. So I got a call from another sheriff deputy saying, "Hey, who's in the car, because they're getting pulled over right now." And I think it was Gracie. It was Gracie. And I'm like,
Did she speak to him?
Gracie? Yeah. I mean,
she got,
I don't know if she got a warning or a ticket. I can't remember, but I immediately, afterwards, I called them. "You get pulled over." "How'd you know?" I said, "You should know how I know. We're in a small town." And, a lot of, they're like, "Oh my gosh." But as they've aged, there's more tolerance and more understanding of why we do the things we do. And, when I was growing up, so Claude Combs was the town constable in Orleans, and he would rat on me. Or not Orleans, at Campbellsburg. He would rat on me every time I was 1 minute late. Like, he knew when my curfew was, and he knew that if I wasn't heading home at X minute, then he was telling my dad, and the next day I'd get a call from my dad saying, why were you late getting home?
Yeah, and as Gracie and Kirsten get older, aren't you happy that he did that? That you've got people who do that for you?
I understand it.
Because as a mom and dad, it's a lot different.
I know.
That 5 minute late that you think you got to get home for, and you're running 100 mile an hour, you don't need to do that. But now I got call your mom and dad. The biggest thing they want to know is, "Hey, I'm all right. I'm going to be late."
Yeah.
Not sitting there, sweating and thinking, "Oh my God," Yeah, I know Claude. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Him and my dad forced me to play basketball my freshman year, and I was terrible. I was not a basketball player, but I was taller for a girl.
I can see you hooping it up, man.
Well, yeah, but Angie Packwood was the center, and she's 6'2" or something. Like,
Yeah.
And when in our practices, I mean, it was terrible. I was just like, it was terrible, but I made it through. But and I have mentioned this on other episodes before, but Claude gave me probably one of the best pieces of wisdom that I have had, and I held on to it. Is if Claude, he didn't cut you any slack.
Yeah.
And, it was a different time back then, which to me was not an issue, but he would be on you. Like, he would not cut you slack, and you could get a cussing, like on occasion, if you deserved it. And one day I just said, Claude, why are you on my butt, man? Like, I can't play ball very well, and he said, well, the day that I quit, one of two things happens. One, you're perfect and you don't need to be told anything, or I have given up on you. And I thought, huh. So I never complained again, and I got through the season. Still sucked. It was terrible. But that's small community.
That's right. And I think about, you got a date?
No, my watch is telling me to stand up.
Oh, I don't wear a smartwatch because I don't need any more distractions. But it's like Gary McClellan, Danny Freed. I got in a fist fight when I was a kid, and I tell the story. I got whipped 3 times in one day. I was in 7th grade, fought a junior. Dumb I did. So I get whipped, and then I got paddled at school. Well, I'll be daggone at noon. My mother shows up. So in 2 hours, she already knew, and she slapped me in the same black eye the kid had gave me. And that was, it was just a bad day. I mean, got whipped 3 times in one day. That taught me a lot. I didn't want her to slap me in front of anybody else again. And the taking the whooping from the kid, that was, it's terrible, but it was all right, But my mom come in front of everybody.
And you got in trouble.
Yeah, and thanks, God, give me a hug. Thank God you're all right. Yeah, okay. Ka-wham, Yeah, everybody's over laughing. I'm sitting there crying. 2-foot-tall woman slapping the time out of you. But that's what, Mr. McClendon and Mr. Freed, that's the way they did things.
Yeah.
And that's which things should be, in my opinion.
I coached volleyball right out of high school, which was terrible. Another terrible thing. Like, I think they were desperate. Like, I don't know why they would
Where
ever think at West Washington. And I coached junior high volleyball. And again, terrible. Not something that I should have been doing. But Mr. McClinic was the principal at West Washington for a while.
Yep.
Yeah. And when he brought me in for the interview or whatever, and he said, so you're dating that terrible boy from Orleans.
Yep.
I said,
Here you are, another county, another school.
yeah. And he was okay with it. But, I mean, it's just...
yeah. We're just lucky, blessed by God to do it,
We're pretty lucky, yes. It's an amazing thing, and I think these stories need to be told.
Oh, yeah. And, there's a million of them.
Yeah.
And all we hear is, my neighbor's grass is 2 inches taller, or my neighbor's dog pooped in my yard. And then, here we go, instead of, hey, my 80-year-old neighbor couldn't get her house, and Chris Terrell was over shoveling, didn't say a word, just did it. We don't hear that.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what we should do.
That's
and
right.
And a lot of what we were talking about is not necessarily, it's really not focused a terrible amount on what you do now. But I think that there is one thing that we do need to talk about is, what was it, probably a couple years ago, really now, because time flies and this stuff takes a long time. But I come to you and said, hey, Davey, like, we know the Indiana Department of Health knows that we're having a problem with babies being born in the birthing process, being born with syphilis, and they're tracking them to jails.
Yeah.
So can we do something in the jail to try to maybe reduce that? And it took us a long time, and it's still not perfect, and things are kind of crazy, but we are one of, I think, like less than 10 in the state that will offer STI testing and different things above and beyond what the standard kind of is, just to prevent one thing, just to prevent one baby from being born with another problem that they shouldn't, right? So that's the great stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That nobody hears or talks about, and why we do these types of things, and thinking big, thinking that's upstream thinking. That's okay. So then if this is what the data is saying is, the jail population we need to be looking at, then let's see what we can do.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Because, not that we're old, but we're getting older. And I want my kids and your and my grandkids and your grandkids grow up with a healthier, better place.
Yeah.
You know, one days I'm not going to be here, and I hope that they're still in the same kind of world I'm living in today.
Yeah.
You know, where I can pick up the phone, talk person to person, or try to make an impact. You know,
Yeah.
if you could just help one, they say one person in life. Well, I'm here for 100, not one, and that's terrible. You know, I know it was terrible, but because I put a lot of pressure and stress on myself to try to help everybody I can. Matter of fact, I'm gonna have to leave because I've got a father who's having trouble with his son, who's a young boy, and he's been getting in trouble, and he wants me to meet him and his son at the jail.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of guys, oh, you don't need to do that. That's not our job. The parents, yeah, it is. I hate to be that way, but it is.
It kind of is. It's all of us, because that's the hardest job anyone will ever do, and they do need as much support and help as they can.
Yes.
Parenting is the hardest job.
Yeah, and he just wants to. I think he wants me to scare the kid, but I'm just going to be truthful with a child, and you don't break in places. You don't drink when you're 15, 16 years old, and
Yeah. But you can say, hey, I talked to this girl today, and she got herself into trouble, but she's doing pretty good right now. So you can change.
Yeah, and yeah, there's 1,000 stories like that.
Yeah.
Like, all we ever hear about's got caught for speeding or for drinking, and it wasn't my fault. Well, okay, I don't see much of that kind of stuff going on. I've been pulled over, and I've had 2 tickets in my life. Jack Taylor gave me a ticket. Yeah. Now he works for me, but I deserved it.
Yeah.
I was mad at him for about 5 seconds. Realized, I'm gonna get hurt. So I pulled out in front of somebody at the theater, and yeah, lucky I didn't get hurt. Or the people with me. But yeah, well, I really appreciate you having me today.
Yeah. Well,
I appreciate more than anything your friendship.
Well, that's what we do, Davey.
I know.
We take care of each other, and that's what we do as best we can. We do. Doesn't mean that that's, easy or we do it right all the time, but that's what we do.
And if you don't know her husband, he is a great guy. Just, he's real quiet and kind of intimidating.
It's not true.
I probably get that because his dad,
They're good. They're good people.
Oh, yeah. But, they're going to tell you exactly how they feel. Do you know that?
Well, yes, I do know that.
Yeah. It's like I saw Karen's sister at Rural King.
Yeah.
Hadn't seen her forever. I've got old and lost my hair and got fat. And Davy Henderson. I'm like, hello, ma'am. How are you today? And it went right back.
So you saw Aunt Carla.
Yep.
Yeah.
Her son, Ronnie's my age, or a little bit younger.
Yeah.
And yeah, don't tell them what's going on. They would just like I'd seen her yesterday. But yeah, just we got a great life, and I need to focus more on that. Instead of worrying about tomorrow, just focus. Hey, I got to come see Dr. Terrell today, and the thing I do best is talk. So.
Well, Davey, I think you're pretty special. So just like so many other folks, but I appreciate the time, and I appreciate the stories, and
I appreciate you.
Maybe somebody will listen to them.
I hope if they're crazy or not,
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank
you so much. All right. See you later.
It's those little things that keep me finding